far as concept and look and feel, they left it up to me, which is great. And so I presented a lot of different ideas, and they basically narrowed it down to 3. We chose the one, and off to the races from there. Basically, it's the rocks represent the soil line, the roots, the growth below, and growth above. The implements are the hand of the gardener, the tools that the gardener would use. And the art is actually something I added to the design. It wasn't actually a requirement at all. It was just a commission for these gates. But the arch I felt was important when I learned that the gates will be open all day. So they're really not visible unless they're closed. And I wanted something to remain during the day when the gates were open, to give the garden more presence, and actually to put the name of the garden there permanently, so it was easily identifiable. Because I wanted to raise the profile of the garden by putting the name of the garden right at the entrance and having it be there all the time. So it also gives it the feel of an old park entrance. Yeah. I mean, it's also very, kind of traditional, old school font. The design happened 10 years ago. It was delayed and then forged, fabricated over the summer 2 years ago. They weren't ready to be installed because there was other delays, and I stored them for a year, and then last year, finally in December, they were installed. These leaves were forged out of solid bar stock. So each one of these leaves used to be basically this. This is a piece of 3/4 inch round bar. So I would take this bar, heat it up in the forge to red hot, where it's malleable with the hammer. And so each one of these is completely transformed from what it was to this. It's a labor-intensive process. It takes a long time. So I had to I made sort of this box setup where I could put the rock in on this rubber washer with it and lock it in, put a top on it, screw it down. It had a hole in it. I put that down. The rock was locked in place, and start the core drill. My colleague would be on the end. I would press down, he would press down, and we'd go through the rock and take it out, unscrew the whole thing, take the rock out. So that's how we did the drilling. Galvanization is about the highest level of finish you can put on something, as far as like making it last. I mean, nothing lasts. So the whole thing is galvanized, and then it's painted. And then I've gone back with some highlights and highlighted it to bring out some of the texture.
This is a public bonsai garden that was built by volunteers, and we opened originally in the year 1999. We are maintained by staff of volunteers that work here. They have expertise in bonsai. We have a curator. Her name is Kathy Shaner. She is a certified bonsai master from the Japanese Bonsai Society in Japan. So we are part of the Golden State Bonsai Federation of California. It's entirely run and maintained by volunteers.
One of the best in the United States?
This is at least one of the top 3 and arguably the best.
Yeah, that's good. Had to get that out of you.
Yeah, Bonsai Garden is open to the public, free of charge. We've built all of the structures on here. We built the fence, the paths, the bonsai benches, and everything else. So the collection has about 200 trees in it. Because we're restricted in size, we can only exhibit about 40% of them at any one time. But we do have a reserve area where we keep our extra trees and we rotate them in and out. The significant thing about them is that they require a constant attention. In the summertime, they have to be watered. These are outdoor trees. They're mostly come from the temperate zone areas of the world, and they need outside, they need seasons, they need winter, spring, summer, fall. They need to go through that. You'll notice that these trees, the deciduous ones, have lost their leaves. This is because this is being filmed in December, and we're going into a dormant area, and these trees are starting to rest. So a lot of our work now starts because this will be our repotting season. So these trees get repotted every 3 to 5 years, and in some cases a little bit longer because they're bigger, harder trees and to do. But some of our smaller trees, we try to repot them at least every other year.
So I try to find something that's going to add a little bit of interest. Maybe it's a color that's going to be a little more interesting on it. Clean that out. And because it was just watered an hour, wire, we'll try to pull that through from the other side. About it. Then we can put some finer soil on the top to maintain the moisture level. Raise the trunk line up a little bit, so I'm scratching more of the soil off the top. Good started. And we'll turn it this way on the bottom.
Okay, so when you get home, give me what you want.
Okay.
And the wire will fasten the tree.
Different types together. So we have, this is akadama. Aka just means red dirt. And if you put this on your hands and just play with it a little bit, after you wash your hands within 20 minutes, half hour, if you haven't used it a lot, you're going to feel your fingers are going to dry out. But most of Japan is very, very volcanic. So this is called, this is Kiryu. Kiryu is from a mountain where they also get kanuma. Kanuma is what we plant our azaleas in. The kanuma is a very soft kind of stuff. And what happened when the mountain blew, the volcano, the heavier stuff landed close to the mountain, and the real soft stuff they knocked the front. So we have the shape of the root mass that was there before. So this is straight on. Here's our front. I'm going to move it up, bring over the back side up a little higher, so it comes towards us a little more. But I also want to get the soil up in all the little places where there might be a little pocket. So by mounding it, we have that chance.
Front of the tree.
Okay, the front of the tree here is coming towards us just a bit. I could pitch it. Now I'm going to grab, and I'd like to get this. Okay, flat. When I worked that soil mass earlier when I was cutting.
Suiseki is the Japanese traditional art of natural stone appreciation, and it's related to, it's a sort of a subset of a broader East Asian traditional art of, that we call in English, viewing stones, which are stones that we collect in nature and appreciate in their natural, unmodified form. Stones that are selected for Suiseki are stones that evoke for the viewer images of nature, either especially landscape scenes and landscape forms, but also the kind of objects, human or not, or living or non-living, that you might find in a natural setting. They were traditionally spiritual meditation objects for scholars and monks, but over the past several hundred years have evolved into an art form enjoyed by all sorts of people, and now people all around the world appreciate it.
We call this the big twisty because nature twisted this around completely. We had nothing to do with it. Nature did this. It's collected and certainly is one of the better examples of Sierra junipers in the bonsai world.
How old do you guess this is?
This tree is probably, I'd say at least 500 years old. It could be 700, 800 years old. This is a trident maple. It's called a root over rock, where the root of the tree has been grown over a rock. This is a very old tree, which, by the way, all of the trees in the bonsai garden have been donated. So this is another tree collected from California. This is called a California juniper, and this is collected in Southern California, probably from the Jawbone Canyon, which is close to the Mojave Desert. This is a Japanese black pine. It's called a cork bark pine because of the way the bark corks up. These are always grafted onto black pine roots. So this is our daimyo oak. This tree was imported into the United States in about 1865 by a gentleman by the name of Burlingame. He was an envoy to China for the Lincoln administration. And then I'd say this tree is probably 300-400 years old, something like that. So this is one of our most famous trees. This was brought to the United States. This is a Japanese black pine, brought to the United States in 1915 for the Pan-Pacific Exposition. That makes it a little over 400 years old now. I say this is a 400-year-old tree. This has been in a bonsai pot for that long. The Sierra juniper that we talked about, that was collected probably 50, 60 years ago. So as a bonsai, it's only that old, but as a living tree, probably much older than this one. So we rank trees in a couple ways. One is how old is it, and B, how long has it been a bonsai? And this is a very fine example of an oak tree because it's styled as you would see an oak tree out in the wilds. One of the things about bonsai, by the way, bonsai as an art form has a couple rules. First of all, it has to be a woody tree, not a grass and not a succulent, but a woody tree like an oak tree. Has to be in a pot and generally should be styled to represent that tree as you would see it in nature. So you have to style it, you have to have it in a pot, and it has to be a live woody tree. So those are generally the three tests for what a bonsai tree is. So this is a coast redwood tree, a very popular species in California for bonsai. You just happen to be looking at it from the side and the back and not the front. So the front would normally be over here. So all bonsai trees have a front and they have a back. You can tell the difference in that the apex or the top of the tree should lean toward the viewer. And then it's designed in the front to show the best features of the tree. So, and sometimes the most controversial part of a bonsai tree among bonsai artists is what is the proper front for the tree? And that gets big discussions. So this is actually called a Suiseki. It's a landscape with trees on it, and these are Japanese maples. There's probably around 40 on here. I think there were 44 when we got this, and we thinned out a few. It was a little bit overcrowded. Japanese maples, and you can see that it's going dormant. All the leaves are coming off, and probably either today or sometime next week, all the leaves will be cleaned off, and we'll clean this up for its winter dormancy. And for deciduous trees, which is what this is, the winter is the best time to view them by the bonsai artists, because you can see the structure of the tree inside and see how well it was done. This is probably the oldest living plant in the collection. This is, again, a California juniper, collected from the Mojave Desert area, somewhere down there. I'm not sure exactly where, probably Jawbone Canyon. Because this is a desert tree, grows in the desert, it grows about an inch every 50 to 100 years. So this is all part of the original tree. So this tree easily could be over 1,000, could be up to 1,500 years old.
Say that with pride.
Well,